Good evening. This is The Point of View. We are live on City TV every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Here on The Point of View, we get to the right guests, we ask them relevant questions and come up with some real insights. And my name is Bernard Avle. It's live and interactive. Our hashtag is Point of View. We're also live on Facebook at City TV GH. And you can get in touch with us on a number we'll put on the screen very soon. And tonight's show is a security alert. Whilst we're in the throes of the Commission of Inquiry into the Ayahuasca West Wagon issues, there have been many incidents. City News has been following the slowly but surely developing trouble of landguardism. We bring you special reports and speak to two people who understand not just the issue of land policy, but also the proliferation of small arms. We'll also talk about a tragic incident that happened at the NDC's Ashanti Regional Office, where one person was killed and another is in critical condition, following the broad daylight shooting by 4 men on motorbikes. So how did we get here? It's going to be exciting tonight. Stay tuned.
The conversations that help you shape your spiritual journey as a Christian. Find the answers you seek. Catch the 700 Club with Pat Robinson every Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. on City TV.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you. 30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
Welcome back to The Point of View. So tonight is a security alert. We'll talk about land guards, we'll talk about proliferation of small arms, we'll talk about robbery and vigilantism, which has become a buzzword. Everybody's talking about vigilantism. In fact, the IGP recently at a press conference says we should all abuse our minds of vigilantism. So it's going to be exciting. But as the show goes on, send us your experiences with land guards if you have any, and your comments about the proliferation of arms. Who are my guests? So the first man is one who's been dealing with the issue of small arms for decades, as I've known him. He is in the person of Bafo Amwa. He's a board member of the Small Arms Commission. Bafo, great to see you. Good evening.
Good evening.
And I also have a gentleman from the Center for Land Policy in the person of Paul Ando. Paul, great to have you. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm going to start off tonight by taking you into a quick report we put together in the previous week. So we've done many reports on land guards, some at Apollonia, some at Bechile, but this particular one took place somewhere called Ablaje. Nathan Kwa was there with the news team and came through with a report.
This is Ashoman Ablaje, part of the Greater Accra region. Now, when you drive through this part of town, everything looks okay. Buildings are coming up. You can tell that the road is being worked on. You can tell that people are living their lives normally. But if you dig deeper, you will come face to face with a menace that is afflicting many homeowners and many people who have tried to set up homes and businesses here. I'm talking about the menace of land guards. People who go around demolishing homes and structures and sometimes the walls of people who have invested money into trying to set up houses, factories, businesses, whatever in this part of the Greater Accra region. We'll dig further to get a good understanding as to who has been affected and why this problem is cropping up in this day and age where Ghana wants to take strides forward as a country. So I've been joined by one of the residents here who happens to be a victim of the activities of land guards who are going around demolishing people's structures on lands they have bought and have the legal titles to. Hello, sir, and welcome to the City Newsroom.
Thank you.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Charles Chagley.
Charles, can you tell us your experience with these land guards?
I have not had any issue with land guards until recently. This land was acquired sometime in 2002 with a title, everything from the Lands Commission. We started developing it. So far, we spent over $300,000 to develop this place and make it into an event center. We test ran it in November and hoping to open it to the public in February this year. And suddenly, the whole place has been raised to the floor, raised to the ground.
You spent $300,000 investing in this. You're saying it was an event center, and we'll see the images of how it looked like before the unfortunate incident happened. But what exactly happened? How did you get to know that the building had been pulled down?
I have a caretaker here. I actually reassigned him to a different property, and he only came in the morning of the day they came to do the demolition, and he called me desperately that there are bulldozers here demolishing the place. I rushed here, I went to the Adenta police, informed the commander, and I came here. And when I came, truthfully, yes, the place have been demolished. So the Adenta police said they didn't know who were responsible. We are now very, very apprehensive. Our lives are in danger. And for me, at this point, I have also decided to employ snipers. Not land guards, but snipers.
Snipers?
Snipers, yes, really, because it appears that, nobody is interested in protecting my property or my good self. So I have to employ snipers. Anybody who is found on this property will be killed. So for me, I don't trust the system because it appears that the law enforcement agencies are in cahoots with these criminals. We have formed a community watchdog association. We have outlined a series of activities to carry out to register our vehement protests against this lawlessness. So now we are closer than ever before. There is a demonstration that we are planning to undertake over the weekend, and we intend to get the publicity across.
So that was an excerpt of a report. There are longer versions we've played on CNR over the past few days. So let me start with Mr. Ando. How typical is this incident that the gentleman was reporting to Nathan? The idea that on a weekend, some people just came, he says about 4 men, broke down everything, intimidated his workers, and just razed down the house. How typical is this?
This is a problem that is now occurring everywhere, especially in Accra. And it's a situation that we now find ourselves in, which as a country, we should employ every means to curb it, else it is getting out of hand. At the moment, every week, every day passing, you hear of land guard activity somewhere, one way or the other. And it's a clear sign of a failed land administration system as a country. And Ghana need to take measures to address the situation immediately, else it is getting out of hand.
So you blame this on the land administration?
Yes.
That's the root cause?
The root cause.
It's not a law and order issue. It's not a lack of policing capacity issue. It's not a non-discipline issue. It's a land administration issue.
Land administration issue.
Can you elaborate?
If we have effective and efficient land administration working properly in the country, there will be no need for people to use violent means to protect their land. The whole system of land guardism is a way of protecting interest in land. And people don't trust the system anymore, so they need to take their law into their own hands to secure and protect their property. And even as we speak now, when people have legitimate document to land, they can't even protect their land physically because other people are coming in to use force to grab their properties.
So even if people have legitimate
title
to the land,
yeah,
that is not enough.
That is not enough.
So that's beyond the land administration, is it not?
Exactly. It now moves to security issue, which the security agencies must come in.
But why would somebody have land legitimate title and yet somebody will come and take over the land?
You know, our court system also comes in to be blamed because you have issues going to court taken several years for it to be resolved. And people are confused about the whole system. Talking about land administration is very broad. It covers the Lands Commission activity, the judiciary activity, and the security issues all falls in place on land administration. So when these systems are not being efficient and effective, then you have this as a sign and symptoms coming up as a result of failed land administration.
Which of
the country.
Agencies within the land architecture has the ultimate responsibility for this? We have the Lands Commission, we have the Ministry of Lands. I do know we also have the Land Title Registry. And then I know we have the Register of Stool Lands. And then we even now have the Land Administration Project 1 and 2. They are threatening Lab 3. If you look at the architecture, where is the problem?
The Land Commission is the responsible agency that is supposed to ensure that our land policies are implemented effectively. Now, in 2008, there was a law that brought all the land sector agencies under one umbrella. So the Land Title Division, the Public Land Investor Management Division, the Land Valuation Division were all brought under one umbrella to consist or to conform to make up the Lands Commission. And so that entire body is responsible to ensure that our land administration is working properly. Now we have the Office of the Administrator of Stool Lands that is responsible to ensure effectiveness within the customary land sector. That is also there as a land agency. So all these bodies have been set up and they are being, I would say, put under the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources so that they can report there. And the ministry has oversight responsibility over these bodies to ensure that our land sector works effectively. Now, moving on further to land administration projects, we have implemented Lab 1, Lab 2, and we are in the 16th year since we started this project.
We are in the 16th year?
Yes, since we started this project. And when you
2003.
When you read a World Bank report of Lab 1, it scores it as moderately unsatisfactory. And then they granted us another fund to improve the system in Lab 2. We have completed Lab 2, yet we are where we are. The land administration project have virtually made no impact on our land administration system.
So the land administration project has failed?
Has failed.
Do you know how much money we spent on it?
It's over $50 million.
Over $50 million?
Yes. The extension of even the Lab 2 is in the regions of $30 million.
Wow.
And so we spent all these monies and we are still where we are with land guard issues still troubling our dear nation.
Let me read a few examples of memorable, I won't say memorable, but infamous issues of landguardism. So the one that comes to mind in this report by Atuku Efio and another colleague, Linda Dakwa, 1998 November, Richard Osusetre, known as Kweku Ninja, police officer at Police Academy, and Jerry Wonu Tola of the Striking Force Unit were killed by land guards when the two allegedly attempted to erect pillars to serve as boundaries for their land at Ablekuma. This is 98. 2005, Jeffrey Kobina, Senior Administrator, Internal Revenue Service, killed by land guards at Chiaman near Ashai, Amasaman. He was a president of a welfare committee of the IRS. He was inspecting land acquired by some members of the IRS when he was killed by land guards in 2005. September 2010, it was reported that residents of Oyibi, a developing part of Accra, had been subjected to brutal attacks by land guards and some were killed. And we are told that some of this was linked to encroachers who were coming to take over their land. Is the problem getting worse or are the incidents getting fewer? If you look at from 98 to now.
The problem is day by day getting worse. And we seem to lose grip on the whole issue as a nation. Because in the instance where we find ourselves, we expect that immediately the security agencies will come in to address the situation. I expect that just as we wage war on the Galamsey issue, the security agency will start similar war on land guard problem to find a way to solve this problem. But it looks in a way that the security agencies connive with these land guards. So there are instances where the cases are reported the people are arrested, but in the next instance, they are released. And we find ourselves in the same problem again. One surprising thing is that the police formed a unit that should address this. That's the property fraud department at the police headquarters. But we are not seeing the fruition of this department. We don't know whether it's logistical constraint or whether it's lack of manpower. We can't find their problem. But this unit was purposefully set up to address the issue of landguardism in the country when it started. But till now, we are still where we are.
Do you know when this unit was set up?
Somewhere in 98.
1998?
Yes.
Property fraud unit. Let's go to the police. It's interesting you mentioned the police. Last week, the IGP held a press conference to address security threats in the country. City News' Anas Seidu, who happens to be my producer for this show, one of my producers, put a question to the IGP about the increasing incidence of landguardism. This was how the IGP responded.
The Vigilant Commander for Accra region. This OEB incident hasn't come to my notice. So I thank you for the information that you have just given. After this program, I will find out from the OEB Commander about the event. But let me also say that there are a lot of court cases which involves demolition of buildings, projects, whatever, on people's lands. So we keep waiting until when the bailiffs are ready for the exercise to take off. Then they come, we give them policemen, they go out and do the demolition exercise on the orders of the court. I don't know whether this is one of such exercises, so I need to find out. Whatever it is, I'll let you have information on it. But so far, on land guard in general in Accra, the situation has improved. A lot of them have been advised to take, in respect of cases where two people or more people are claiming ownership of the land, we advise them to settle their differences in the court of law. We are much interested in criminal aspects or cases associated with their controversy. But as to who owns the land, who is the proper owner to have the land, we always advise them that we will not determine for them. They will ask them, go to the court, have whatever differences that are between the two of you resolved. But cases like he has gone to demolish my land, and when the complaint comes, we will deal with the causing damage aspect of the case. Because we are not in a position to determine who owns the land, we will not go there, but determine the criminal aspect that is attached to the land. Thank you.
So that was D-Cop Patrick Edusei Sapon. So initially, Anas posed the question to the IGP, who said he would, because the question was situated in Greater Accra, he would ask the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander to respond. And this was his response. He says the situation has improved, and they've advised people to take the matter to court. You agree with him?
I don't. Looking at what is happening at the moment, within just about 2 weeks, we've had over 6 incidents of landguard activity in Accra alone. I don't know whether this tells the story of an improvement. But within 2 weeks, if you can have over 6 incidents of landguard happening in Greater Accra alone, then I don't think we're in a situation of improvement with regards to issues of landguard.
Are the police in denial?
I think they are denying in a way. If they should accept the fact that the situation is getting worse, and so they need to prepare themselves to face landguards, it will be better. And
so is it a question of lack of capacity or complicity for the police?
I think it's complicity. I believe that
complicity.
Our police service has been equipped enough to handle these issues. Let's take, for instance, Operation Vanguard. They collaborated with the military in a situation where they think that they lack certain logistics. They can team up with the military to combat this issue. But here is the case, they are not even accepting the fact that the situation is getting worse. And so they think they can handle. But I believe that the situation is getting out of hand and we need to do something quickly to address it.
This is the point of view. We're live on City TV. Tonight we're having a conversation about security issues. And before I take a break, I'm going to read a comment that came before the show started to you. But for you've been sitting quietly looking at me. Good evening, Bernard. Let me send this question before your show starts. This was sent in about 10 minutes to the show. Please ask your guest from the Small Arms Commission on what basis Landguards acquired the guns they wield. Who even gives them the guns? This questioner didn't add their name.
Obviously, anybody who is misusing weapons is not licensed. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Meaning that nobody will give them permission to acquire weapons to go and cause mayhem on lands that may not necessarily belong to them. So we cannot assume that there's some system in Ghana whereby if you're a land guard, you can go and get permission to wield weapons. So they are really using illegitimate weapons.
Well, an illegitimate weapon means what?
It's not licensed, and nobody knows how they acquire the weapons.
I'll let that sink in. I'll take a break. When I come back, we'll find out how much or how many illicit weapons we have in the country, whether we are winning the war against illicit weapons. And we'll talk about vigilantism as well, because in Kumasi today, in broad daylight, one man was killed, another is critically wounded. This is the NDC's regional office in Ashanti. There's more when we come back. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Breakfast Daily on City TV.
You're tuned into Breakfast Daily on City TV.
You're watching Breakfast Daily on City TV.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily.
Nigerians are putting their film on Netflix now. There's DSTV, there's mobile phones, there's all sorts of apps that you can actually put your phone. So distribution is not just going to the cinemas to preview or to premiere the movie. We wear all our gowns and all that, and then that's all. There are lots of channels that we don't know, and we've limited ourselves to just Ghana.
Join us for Breakfast Daily, only on City TV. Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10.
The policy makers, the top personalities, the people at the center of the news. They speak on Face to Face. One-of-a-kind access into the lives and the stories of our time.
So these are some of the things. If one time, as I was boarding the plane,
it just came
queue,
to you.
Just straight from the launch to the queue, a song dropped.
Face to Face with Godfred Akotobuafo every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
The Point of View is holding a show on security, and it's the security alert. Landguardism, vigilantism, the proliferation of weapons, and all of that. My guest, Paul Ando, from the Center for Land Policy, and Bafo Amwa, a board member of the Small Arms Commission. So Paul is telling us that we are losing the battle against land guards, and he disputes the view that the police is winning. He actually thinks it's gone worse. We're not trying to link landguardism with weaponry. So, Mr. Amwa, you said that if somebody is using weapons in this fashion, obviously it's not legal. So talk to me about the seriousness of the illicit arms in the system.
Well, thank you very much. The last statistics we have for this issue was done by Kofi Annan International Training Peacekeeping Center. And they have confirmed from the studies they conducted that at least about 1.1 million weapons are in this country, but we don't know who owns them.
1.1 million weapons?
Yes.
That we don't know who owns?
Illicit, somehow.
Wow.
1.2 is weapons we can trace because there are documentation on these weapons. The problem with that 1.2 is also that people have them, but sometimes they don't renew their licenses. Now the question is, the security system for looking after weapons is that if a gun is fired and forensic experts came to the scene and they picked a bullet, they should be able to perhaps trace the weapon to the owner. Or if they identified any weapon, using the ECOWAS system, one should be able to say this weapon came from a legal source in the military or a police source, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is that if somebody has a weapon and the person is not using the weapon in a legal way, it's because if you're using your weapon as a land guard, if your bullet is picked, for example, you know that it will be tracked. They can easily track you down. That's why they will not register it. And that's why they will pick it in the illicit system, making it difficult. So they can...
Are these weapons made here or imported?
Some are imported, some are made here.
What percentage of the 1.1 million is made here?
Well, difficult to say, but at least the police statistics tells us that for some time now, anytime they've gone to a crime scene, almost 80 to 90% of the weapons used are locally made.
80 to 90% are locally made.
Yes.
What types of weapons are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about pistols, and we're talking about shotguns, we're talking about hunting guns, all these type of guns that the local artisans are able to make.
Artisans?
Yes.
Which means they are in situ, they are known gun makers.
And the blacksmiths.
But why don't we just go and clamp down all blacksmiths if we want to solve the problem?
Well, they don't have permission to manufacture, but if you license somebody to repair weapons over 100 years, even if the person is stupid, he will acquire some skills. So they have acquired skills, and now they are making AK-47, we are told.
Are there known enclaves for weapon manufacturing in Ghana?
Our research shows that there are a couple of areas in this country where the blacksmiths have really improved their skills in making weapons. But the problem is that by the time even the police get there, there's nothing there.
Why? They have intelligence that the police are coming?
Well, that is the challenge, yes. It looks like that.
He said we spent 16 years, $50 million on land administration projects, and the problem is getting worse. What is there a similar story for weapons? How much money have we spent, and for how long have we been trying to solve this illicit arms in the country?
The problem with the weapons system is that, for example, the law allows two types of categories for civilians to possess weapons. Licenses are issued by the Minister of the Interior. So those ones, it's not that every year maybe so much is permitted. So it's difficult to tell how much is going into weapons. The military buy weapons. It's not easy for the military to put statistics out that we are buying $10 million worth of weapons because of security. So all the security agencies that with weapons, we will never know how much we spend to acquire weapons for them.
I'm talking about how much have we spent trying to stop the proliferation of illicit weapons?
Oh, I think a lot of money has been spent. I can't give you a figure, but just let's say that since 1993.
Since 1993?
When the issue of small arms became an issue, proliferation of small arms and light weapons became an issue. The Malian government is the one that reported the matter to the United Nations, and the international conference in 2001 then brought up the UN Program of Action against proliferation of small arms. And all this period, up to now, civil society, governments have mounted programs trying to deal with this menace. We haven't succeeded.
So we've been doing this for 26 years.
Yes.
Is the problem getting worse, or we're getting...
It's getting worse because, I mean, currently, if you look at the global arms production, that means there's one bullet for every 10 people on this planet.
There's what?
One bullet for 10 people on this planet. So you can imagine.
Hey, how did you get that number?
Well, these are small arms survey people who do, research.
One bullet for every 10 people?
Yes.
And the Russians is getting more, so very soon there'll be one bullet, one man, one bullet.
That's why we think all of us should put our act together.
Let's talk about armed robbery. I'm going to show you a quick report Vivian Kailoko put together. She went to a part of Accra and noticed that a lot of these places are in the outskirts. So you're talking Bechile, you're talking Apollonia, you're talking Ablaje. This is like the zone between urban and rural Accra. This report was on the travails of residents of Bechile with armed robbers.
If you look behind me, this area on a number of occasions have been attacked by armed robbers. They do not only take things from them, but also inflict various degrees of wounds on them. We'll be speaking to some victims who have suffered at the hands of these armed robbers here at Bechele in the Pong Katamanso area. So let me speak to another resident who was also attacked by armed robbers in the area. Hello, welcome to City Newsroom.
Thank you very much.
What's your name?
Catherine.
Okay. What happened on that day?
On that fateful day, it was Saturday. I think the day after Ebony's death, yeah. And around 1 a.m., I was pregnant by then, so I'd used the washroom. When I came back, I saw someone peeping through our windows. So I quickly waked my husband up, and then he got up. And we saw a guy, he was dressed in camouflage, and behind our window, trying to look inside. Obviously, because of the lights outside, he wouldn't see inside, but we could see him. So we all shouted Ario in the local language. And then he couldn't mind, he was just relaxed. And as he was moving, he gave a long chuckle at us. So my husband didn't understand. We're like, for thieves, normally when you blow the alarm, he runs away. But for this one, no, he was too comfortable and relaxed. So we went, that day we slept in the guest room, not in our bedroom. So we went to the living room. When we got there, my husband wanted to open the door to see who he was, thinking it was just a person. So we were going to give more alarm scream for people to come around or probably attack him. So when we got to the living room, the door, this security door, it has some small lanes. And he wanted to look through, but he changed his mind and checked through the window. So when he checked through the window, and then he looked at me and said, Kathy, they are robbers. I'm so helplessly, we didn't know what to do. For me, I screamed so loud because I was scared. And they started breaking the door with the blocks. So they were doing it. Because it's a security door, it's very hard. And we ran to the guest room and locked it. We went to the washroom of the guest room and we locked it. And in less than 3 minutes, they entered, pulling their guns. Yeah, they did. And they were screaming, why you there? Why you there? Can we go kill you? Can we go kill you? So they entered. So when they went to our bedroom, we were not there. They came to the guest room, we had locked it. And they brought more blocks to break.
So if you listen to the full story, it was quite tragic. They spent a lot of time and the police did not respond. So there are different issues here. There's the boldness and the brazenness of the criminals. There's the slow response of the system and people's resort to personal solutions. But from your point of view, why are criminals getting so brazen in our country? What's the problem, Bafo?
Well, don't forget that our population is growing by the day. And capacity to police growing populations are not easy for our country. We hear a lot of report about police not having vehicles, not having equipment and stuff like that. So if an area is newly developing, there's no police station. If you live in such areas, you are really at a high risk because when you are under attack, it's going to take a long time before you get even security presence to save you, just as we were listening to. So there are a number of factors that are emboldening the robbers in many cases. And they choose their targets very carefully too. Because where there are night patrols, I don't think they will go there. Because they will be confronted by the SWAT team. And those are capable of meeting them squarely. But so you can see how they pick their targets because of the situation
There are people who feel that a lot of times when the robbers come and spend such a long time, they know the police will not come, possibly because they have links or they are in cahoots with some security agencies. Is this something we should be concerned about? Is this something that has any basis?
Well, I think we should be concerned because there are stories we have also heard that, usually when we change governments recruit their supporters into the security system. Some of these people perhaps are not really vetted very well. And so whatever habits they have, they just take it into policing. And it's easy for them to rent their guns. We have stories to confirm that you have some policemen who rent their guns to armed robbers and stuff like that. And that's scary. Yeah, but it happens. It happens.
But in terms of renting of guns, what should the police do to ensure that the weapons that they give their men stay within the ambit of lawful men and doesn't get to wrong hands? Is there some protocol to follow? Is there a way of ensuring that right weapons don't get into wrong hands?
The police have their protocols, but I think we also have a challenge in terms of how weapons are stored in our police stations. You go to some villages and you have the police counter, and behind the policeman you see all these guns standing there. If there's a mob action, they will collect the guns and go away with it. And we know it has happened in a couple of areas. So capacity is also the problem in terms of stockpile management.
I'll read a few comments and come back to land issue because Paul is still here with us. Good evening. I want to find out how to legally acquire a pistol for my own safety. Good evening. I think the police is simply not doing their work because they are too familiar with the land guards. East Legon is a typical example. Good evening, Bernard. This issue of vigilantism is getting out of hand. Something must be done immediately. In fact, guns are looming, and it's time Ghanaians pay heed to what Dikop Kofi Boakye said, that if vigilante groups are not dissolved, there's danger ahead for all of us. This is a guard, University of Education, Winneba. Let me come back to Paul on the issue of land guards. So are land guards criminals or just unemployed people looking for work to do? Where do you categorize land guards?
They are criminals. The activity is a crime, and so had to be solved immediately. At the moment, there is a bill before Parliament that we expected to be passed. That categorically states that activities of land guard is a criminal offense. And those who employ the services of land guards are also criminals. And so it's in two categories: the land guard themselves and those who employ their services. So we expect that the land bill should be passed as soon as possible to be able to address some of these factors, because the issue is really escalating and the state must act quickly.
So there's a bill in Parliament?
Yes.
So as we speak, it's not criminal? Or what's the bill going to do that we don't have already?
At the moment, the whole activity of land guardism is protecting one's land.
So it's more from it's like a justification for it?
Yes, justification for it. But in the current bill that is before Parliament, it states that you can protect your law through your land through the lawful means. However, you cannot use unreasonable force. And it goes on further to state that employing land guard is a crime. And so
the law now recognizes that there's something called a land guard.
Exactly. And so if you're a land guard, you're a criminal, and the person employing your services will also be caught by the law.
So it criminalizes both the supply and demand.
Exactly.
And where within the parliamentary process is this law?
Currently, it's gone through cabinet, and so we expect it to be put before the House for reading, so that they look at the various issues and then pass it as quickly as possible.
But will the passage of the law change anything?
After passing, we expect effective enforcement. Because when that comes in, then it means that we are making headway. But one common characteristic of the Ghanaian society is that we have a lot of laws, but enforcement is an issue. So when the laws are there and then they are not being enforced, we are at ground zero and we are not making any headway. So we expect that after this law has been passed, we expect the various institutions to really enforce this law to the latter, at least to curb the issue of land guardism, also clean up our land sector for efficient land administration in the country.
Paul, is there a relationship between armed robberies and land guards? Is there a relationship there?
There seems to be a link, even to the extent of political party vigilantism. Some people believe that these same persons who are engaged in land guard activities are the same persons engaging in robbery and also engaging in political parties vigilantism. I believe that they are all because they are wielding guns and so can do whatever they think they can do. So we need to look at the linkage very well and deal with the whole issue holistically.
There's an interesting question here. Bernard, if the police don't act, we will all apply Section 39 A and B of Act 29, which authorizes the use of force to prevent land guards. What it means is that a person can choose to kill to defend against a land guard. this person doesn't add their name. But don't forget the person who interviewed on the TV show says he's going to employ snipers. So he's saying that per the law, they can shoot to kill a land guard. And then he goes on to say that the land guard law you're talking about will directly conflict Act 29.
Exactly. Studying it just this week before we came on set, I realized that there seems to be a missing link between the land bill and even the criminal code. Because at the point, the criminal code also has a provision that one can use a reasonable force to protect it, but in the land bill it says unreasonable force. So we need to define what is reasonable and what is unreasonable in the context of the law.
Let's go to vigilantism, which is the third issue we're discussing. We're still talking security. It's a security alert show, landguardism, proliferation of arms. So we've had a lot of issues around vigilantism. Today, at the NDC's Ashanti Regional Office, there was a shooting. Now, some people believe that the people who were perpetrators belong to a vigilante group. In fact, the police have issued a statement, and I'm going to read portions of that statement to you shortly. But here's a report Hafiz Tijani, our Ashanti Regional correspondent, put together in summarizing what happened in Kumasi today.
Police have identified the suspects as Warrior, Mijima, Damos, and Abu Taliban, who are believed to be members of a pro-NDC vigilante group, the Hawks. The suspects, who were wielding guns according to police, stormed the party office on motorbikes during a meeting between regional and national executives. The suspects in a scaffold opened fire, killing one Abdul Wasiu and injuring another Abdul Rahman. An eyewitness narrated the incident to City News.
We are here in the party office to hold party meetings to discuss the way forward for the party. Unfortunately, we saw some people here sitting on motorbikes, though some of them, we know them moving with Honorable Yamin, so we know they are all part of NDC members. So, and the party, at the front of the party, we were sitting there with some of our members there. Unfortunately, two of our members just walked towards the mosque. I don't know whether they went to pray or what, or they went to the urinal. So when they were coming back, we realized that those who were sitting on the motorbike, those who were sitting on the motorbike, I don't know what they say, and the other guy was saying that, why are you trying to create chaos? Why there's none? Because we are all brothers. So we are all brothers is what we are, whereas we were sitting aside. So the guy just turned, I don't know what happened, he just trying to talk to the other guy who was sitting on the motorbike. When he's getting closer to him, we saw that the guy just put his hand in his pocket, just removed a gun. Immediately moving the gun, and he shot the leg of the other guy, Abdurrahman. He shot Abdurrahman on leg. So Abdurrahman is trying to hold the gun from his hand for him not to shoot him again. So that was where all the other guys who were around just mop on Abdurrahman. So the guy who were working with Abdurrahman from the mosque just turned back and see that they all gather on his brother or friend. So he was also trying to get closer and help him. That was where the other guy who is holding the gun, because all these guys have mop on Abdurrahman. So the guy used his gun and turned to the other guy. So the guy is trying to run. He shot him on the leg. That was where we realized that we should have to wake up and help him. When we wake up, he just shot directly to us. So he spares us. So from there, the guy has already been shot on the leg, and he turned on him again. He was on the ground and shot him on the chest and other. So that was where all of us started panicking, shouting. And he realized that because we were many, we can also mop on him. So he started shooting directly to us. That was where we ran into the office. And now others, the regional executive and the national executive, were holding a meeting inside. They don't know what is even happening. We have to knock their doors and call upon them that this is what is happening. So unfortunately, I hear that if you see the blood on the ground, so some of our members just rushed them to the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. That was where we were getting an information, unconfirmed information, that one of them has lost his life, especially the other guy. He was called Wasiu. So he has lost his life. I think that is what happened.
Bloodstains were visible at the scene when the news team arrived at the party's office. Party supporters besieged the office in their numbers To verify the reports, National Chairman of the NDC, Ofosu Ampofo, and General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia were later said to have visited the injured victim at the hospital. Ashanti Regional Police Public Relations Officer ASP Godwin Ahianyo later briefed journalists in Kumasi.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command has launched investigation into a shooting incident that took place at the regional office of the National Democratic Congress here in Kumasi, which led to one person dead and another person seriously injured. Preliminary investigation has it that there was an ongoing meeting between the national executives of the party and the regional executives. The national executives, the members were Mr. Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, who is the chairman of the party, and Mr. Johnson Esiedun Ketia, who is the general secretary, and other party functionaries. That was around 12:30 p.m. when gun-wielding men on motorbikes invaded the premises, shooting indiscriminately. Preliminary information gathered at the scene indicated that 4 persons alleged to be members of the Hawks, that is a pro-NDC vigilante group, were behind the attack. So far, the suspects' names have been given as Warrior, Damos, Mijima, and Abu Taliban. The police are pursuing these persons for their arrest. Meanwhile, the crime scene has been cordoned off. That is, the regional office of the party has been cordoned off by the police to enable us conduct investigation at the scene. The police is, however, working closely with the executives of the party to get the perpetrators arrested. The command will use this medium to assure the executives that it will do all it can to get the perpetrators arrested. Meanwhile, the command expresses its condolences to the bereaved families and wishes the injured persons speedy recovery.
Now, the police has cordoned off the crime scene and have declared this place a no-go area until investigations are done. Reporting from the Ashanti Regional Headquarters of the NDC, I am Hafiz Tijani for City News.
So that was Hafiz Tijani's report. So I think the question now is, how does the vigilante issue complicate the whole issue now? Because the police are saying the 4 men they're looking for are part of a pro. So they've already characterized the vigilante group as being political. So we're talking about lots of weapons in the system, indiscipline, landguardism. Now you're having people recruited by political parties supposedly engaging in crime. And look at the description. So, how does this complicate this task?
Well, let me tell viewers that we often talk about the Liberian and Sierra Leonean wars. I was in the middle of those wars, and I saw what happened during the war and aftermath. When young men are armed and you lose control over them, there's no way you can have peace or protect property. What has happened in Kumasi this afternoon tells us that young people are not able to control their emotions, and to arm them means we are playing with fire. Whatever went wrong in their discussions, I don't see how, on the spur of a moment, you pull a gun and fire at the leg of your colleague. What was so challenging for their minds? So we need to realize that arming young people who cannot protect their emotions when they are upset is a very dangerous thing. And this is what I think we have seen in Kumasi. And it complicates the issue of security and arms proliferation.
In the sense that once political parties get involved, we will not have a how shall I say, a logical discussion, because it will be politicized.
Definitely. And everybody would want to defend their turf. And that's why I think we are joining the call to say that really we must bring an end to vigilantism. if we don't, I don't think we should think of ourselves as being in safe places in this country.
Our democratic credentials notwithstanding,
will not be able to meet the deadly response that this eruption can bring about.
Wow. I'll take a break. This is serious. We're talking security. It's a show that has a mix of issues: land guards, proliferation of arms, vigilante groups, and all of those things. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
It's inspiration. It's the word. The teachings.
The test of life is what you do with power, and is what you do with blessing. The test of life is what you do with favor. The test of life is what you do with promotion, whether it's political, economic, financial, or spiritual. The test of life is what you do with the blessing and with power and with resources.
Tune in to Voice of Inspiration with Archbishop Duncan Williams every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on City TV.
Welcome back to Point of View. Tonight we're looking at security issues within the throes of the Ayawaso West Wagon Commission hearings, where violence erupted at Bawaleshi. We're having very different reports. City News has been following up on land guard issues, and only today 2 people were shot, 1 fatally in Kumasi. The police are saying the perpetrators were part of a vigilante group. So let's read some of your comments from my guests to try and respond. Good evening. I think, okay, I've read this already. Good evening, Bernard. Because everybody wants to own a plot of land in Ghana, this is why we are all facing these problems. Government should build for us to end the problem. This is Austin from Koforidia. The police is not ready to prosecute the land guards. They will frustrate you. Please, Bernard, come to Mpehuasem and you will see, you will have the shock of your life. Land guards are blatantly pulling buildings down without court orders. East Legon Police Station is aware of this. Bernard, the law that criminalizes the unlawful entry onto other person's land, under which most land guards are charged, is Section 157 of Act 29. Unless I'm wrong, the punishment prescribed by law and exacted by the courts is not deterrent at all, considering the activities of land guards and what has caused this country. We may need to take another look at it. You don't add your name. This is a rather long one. Good evening, Bernard. When it comes to the issue of land guards, there's little the Lands Commission can do. The Commission only registers the various interests brought to them by the public. They cannot go to the field and be policing family and stool lands. That's to you. The only type of land the Commission has more power over is the public or vested lands. It will be more appropriate if all lands are converted into public lands, where the government through the Lands Commission will have the most authority. Land guards issues are the result of factions within families. Another cause is greed among chiefs. The police should also be able to deal ruthlessly with land guards to scare others from the act. Finally, the court should be able to deal quickly with land-related disputes. That's a long one from Desmond. Thank you, Desmond. This is quite rich. I'll take your comments on some of the points he's raising. He's saying, for example, that we should nationalize or take over all lands. So the Lands Commission then oversees land which is in the public interest, vested lands. More comments. Good evening. Please come to Ashaiman and you will know that land guard issues is at a galloping stage. If we really want to solve the problem of land guards, the government has to step up and fight it like how it fought Galamsey, which is what you said. The reason, majority of the police are corrupt. The court system is worse. There is a housing deficit in the capital and the Lands Commission is too loose. I am Ben and I work for NAC Estate. We have been in court on land issues since 2005 and the court is still running. So why wait for the law? Wow. Haruna Inusa in Techiman. Good evening, Bernard. The reason for the alarming rate of criminality falls on the security service. Most armed robbers get these weapons from the security agencies. Else, how would they act with such impunity? They are protected by some hooligans within the system. There's a lot more comments, but I don't have time. Quick comment on the issue of nationalizing lands as a starting point?
Yes, nationalization of lands in Ghana could have been an ideal situation to curb this menace. However, the extent to which you have come in a democratic way, I think will be extremely difficult at this point in time in Ghana to nationalize our lands. At the moment, per statistics, over 80% of our lands are in the traditional setting. And so converting them to a state land will be extremely difficult. It has to come with so many years of engagement for people to buy into the idea why they should give up their land for the state to manage for them. At the moment, even those ones that were vested for some specific reasons, some of them have been divested and have been given back to the traditional owners. So going back to get them as state will be extremely difficult to the extent where we've come to. Now, to the issue of Lands Commission playing little role to curb the issue of landguardism, I would differ with the viewer in the sense that Lands Commission is the leading agency that should ensure smooth administration of land, smooth land administration in the country. If land administration has been going on effectively and efficiently, there wouldn't be any need for anybody to get a gun, employ somebody to go and defend or protect this land. Because everything is transparent and everyone is trusting the system. But because people have lost trust in the system, that is how come they are employing all means to protect their interest in land. So Lands Commission has a critical role to play to ensure smooth land administration in the country.
But for to end, I've seen in war-torn countries people giving incentives to bring guns, and they will burn their guns in public. Have we reached a stage where we should do this? Bring a gun, we'll give you 100 Ghana cedis or something.
And the buyback system wasn't too efficient when we had challenges in the northern part of the country. I don't know whether it was because of the administration or whatever, but when you do the analysis, it's like people are very attracted to their guns because of the constant dispute. What I think we need to be thinking about is granting amnesty. And when the amnesty is granted, if you know you don't have a need for a gun, go and give it to the police. And afterwards, the military and the police must really go in, comb the country and try to recover illegal weapons. If this is not done, I don't think we are safe. We are sitting on a time bomb then.
On that grim note, we'll end the show tonight. My guest, Bafo Amoa, board member of the Small Arms Commission, has been doing this job for decades. And I also had Paul Ando from the Center for Land Policy. It's been a mixed issue. We've been looking at security, land guards, light weapons, and vigilantism. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Bernard Avle. Keep watching City TV, and good night.